Thanks to resub Kin, Immers, Sinprel, and Luke. And Skyrunner. Yeah, we can talk about Twilight now. We finished New Moon and Eclipse today. So, there's a lot to unpack here with these next two. It seems they learned a lot from the first movie on how to make it even worse. So they took everything that didn't work in the first film and amplified all of those scenes. So in New Moon, I already kind of went over it with the beginning, but basically, Edward's taking Bella to this birthday party with the vampires. She gets a paper cut and bleeds a little bit, so Jasper, he has PTSD, he fucking flips a switch and tries to murder her. Edward throws her back, she cuts herself again, and this makes Edward leave her because she bled. So he's like, in order to protect you, I've got to leave, so I'm leaving. And he does. So he's away for like 6 months, and during that 6 months, Bella gets closer to Jacob. And those two hit it off. She keeps talking about how warm Jacob is, and he's a werewolf. You know, it's this big, awful romance thing. And what's crazy is, much like Edward, Jacob also has like uncontrollable fucking awful anger out of nowhere from time to time. And there is still, once again, nothing but pure disdain and revulsion from Bella, like half the time. It is so weird, because it's not romance, it's like actual bipolar disorder from all of the characters. They're like in this perpetual trance. It's indescribable. I don't know how to put it into words. Easy tier 1. Zehi, tier 1, Goen, and the resub Dragon, Monado, Friendly, and the Prime Gino, and the Bits Girthy, and the resub Toaster, and Irrelevant. Hope you feel better soon, guest spit. Thanks to the resub, Kai Boy. But the movie does have like a little more action to it, I guess, in a certain extent. Bipolarity means depression and mania, not aggression. I'm talking about the absolute unhinged amount of mood swings every character goes through at every single sentence. For example, Edward would be like, I promise to never hurt you, Bella. And then in the next breath say, that's why I know that you're not right for me and I don't love you, so I'm leaving you, bitch. That's still not bipolar. I decided to Google it just because I wanted to double check if I'm misremembering. The number one thing with bipolar disorder, at least according to the actual National Health Institute, is the mental illness that causes unusual shifts in person's moods and mood, energy, activity, and highlights in particular these rapid mood shifts. So I think that would be very much so bipolar. Sometimes it's weeks. Yep, I guess it could be. And in this movie, it's minutes. There's a resub Compound, Calamity, Lectrit, Seth, and Quacky. Do you think the movies fucked up the main cast and that's why they faded into indie obscurity? What are you talking about? Most of the cast went on to do big things. The only one that didn't was Taylor Lautner. I mean, shit, he's Batman. Robert Pattinson is Batman. So no, I don't think it fucked him up. But everything the first movie did, this one does again, but sillier. Thanks, Resubtanber. So this one's all about her getting close to Jacob. They're about to kiss. Edward's in like Rio de Janeiro or something. And he tries to call Bella. Jacob answers and says that her dad's at a funeral. So Edward thinks she killed herself, so then Edward decides he's going to kill himself. So then he goes up to like the vampire high council for suicide. It's fucking wild. You team Edward or team Jacob? I was team Jacob, probably still am, because at the very least, he's not perpetually gaslighting and manipulating Bella. But he's also completely fucking unhinged. In the third movie, I think it was the third movie, he's just having a conversation with her about Edward and how she loves Edward, and during the conversation, he just like kisses her, and then she punches him in the face and breaks her hand on his face. And he also has these absolutely violent mood swings as well. So he's fixing a bike one time, and Edward came up as a conversational topic, and he says, "I'm tired of it." So he takes a fucking wrench and throws it right by her head against a wall and blasts like the fucking back out. Thanks the resub Slippers, Cub, Guigu, Emperor, and Tier 1 Diesel. And the resub Jeff, Noir, and the Prime Hawk. And the bits Frederick. And Mac. And the resub Melvin. Does Bella seem interested in any of them? No. So Aaron made a great point. One of the core things that Edward likes about Bella is that he can't read her mind. And after watching 3 of these movies now, I think Aaron's right when he said the reason that he can't read her mind is because she's so fucking stupid she doesn't have thoughts, so there's nothing to read. That became a core plot point in New Moon as well, because when they go to the Vampire High Council, one of their gifts, like the leader's gift, is he can touch someone and see everything they've ever experienced or whatever, and he goes up to her and can't see anything. So once again, I think Aaron's right that she literally has just a sub-zero IQ and actually experiences nothing. She's like a fucking plant with photosynthesis. So there's nothing to see. She's not special. She does nothing helpful. All she does is cause problems for everyone around her. At no point in even a single scene in these 3 movies has she done something helpful or useful. All she is a perpetual damsel in distress that for some reason everyone fights to the death for. Even people that have no reason to. Like, Jacob's entire clan of wolves protects her. For absolutely no reason. But in Eclipse, she cut her arm to save Edward. That's something. That's true. She did cut her arm to distract one of the vampires for a second. Like, literally a split second. But you know what she also could have done in order to distract that vampire? Literally just yell at her. Like, the blood itself wasn't the distraction. It was literally just her getting the attention. So she smelt the blood, and it got her attention. She could have thrown a rock at her, and it would have accomplished the same goal. It wasn't exactly some kind of crazy, smart, like, crafty play. Thanks a resub. Dan, Clever, Coin, Garlic, and the Prime Mad. But what's even more baffling is, like, I feel like there's actual cuckoldry undertones to this film. So, like I mentioned in the first movie, the extended cut, there's a scene where James and Victoria are making out, and then the leader vampire of that small team just watches and smiles. And that scene goes on for like 15 seconds. And then coming into New Moon and Eclipse, at the end of New Moon, Edward is back. He's with Bella. They go to meet Jacob in the woods, and she goes up to Jacob and right in front of Edward says, "I love you," to Jacob. And then says, "But we can't be together," and then walks back to Edward. And he's like totally fine with that. And then in Eclipse, there's a scene where they're trying to hide Bella, so they're in a tent, and she's getting cold because it's cold by the tent. And Edward's concerned she's going to die of like hypothermia. Jacob gets concerned about it too. And since it was established that Jacob is warm because he's a wolf, he crawls into bed with her to cuddle in front of Edward with his approval to watch. So he just sits there and snuggles with Bella while Edward watches, and then they have a conversation. And then shortly after that, Jacob learns that Edward and Bella are getting married. Also, Edward's a virgin. For 100 years, he's been a fucking virgin. And they're going to get married, and that's going to lead to them finally having sex. And Jacob didn't know. He learns that they're getting married. So he storms off, and Bella panics, like, "Oh my god, no, wait. Oh, how could you tell him that we're getting married? I was trying to keep it a secret from him." So she catches up to Jacob and then tells Jacob to kiss her. So then they make out for like 30 seconds. And then she walks back to Edward. And Edward's like, I know what you did. And then she's like, "Yeah, but I love you more." And he's like, "I know." Even after she just fucking blatantly cheated on him in front of him. There's the Resub Otherworldly, Cade, El Mago, and the Tier 1 Hope, and the Resub Percival and Ventus. And the Resub Smokin'. There's so much that I haven't even begun to touch on. I'm trying to figure out the best way of like composing all of the thoughts, because these two movies had so much to them. So like Victoria lost her lover James in the first movie. He became that big bad guy once he smelt Bella's stench. So then they had to kill her because he was obsessed with her. And Victoria was left without her lover. So she spends the entirety of New Moon just kind of popping up randomly to accomplish nothing. So she'll show up and then get hunted by the werewolves or the other vampires, and she just runs away every time. But during one of those chases, she picks up an old man, like literally like she's got a nerd by the lockers. So she's got this old man by the collar and then like drops him and runs away because the rest of the people found her. And he died from that injury. He died because she picked him up like a high school bully. And it was just one throwaway line where Jacob said he was dead. He just said he passed away. Thanks to the Prime Garrett. Oh, also, Meadow made a really good point. When she was... I'm bouncing back and forth all over New Moon here. Sorry for that. There's so much to put together for the puzzle here. When Bella was in, like, Rio de Janeiro or wherever the fuck it was, and they go to, like, the Vampire High Council, Dakota Fanning's there, and all these vampires have gifts. You know, like, Edward reads minds, Alice can see the future. Fucking Jasper's gift is he's a Confederate soldier. I shit you not. His backstory is he's a Confederate soldier, got turned back in the day, and was training New Bloods, and was blessed with the gift of mood changes. Which sounds very par for the course for Twilight. His gift is the ability to influence moods. So maybe he's the puppet master that makes everyone have these violent mood shifts and it's not like borderline personality disorder. That's possible. But my god, his gift is like mood shifts where he can subtly influence how people feel. Like he makes them 30% less sad or 5% more sad. And other vampires also have gifts. And when that guy touches her and realizes he can't see everything from her past, he then says, "I want everyone to try her gifts on her." Meadow pointed out, like, what if one of them could just shoot lightning? She's not going to be immune to a lightning bolt. They just so happened that they got lucky, or she got lucky that the only gifts they had were like mental ones. Because the second one of them starts fucking Darth Sidious lightning blasting her, she's fucked. Is the resub Kamalian, Shidoofer, and the resub Enzo? I'm not sure, Tori. That's hard to say. The imprinting? Oh, yeah. Well, that was just kind of yucky to listen to. It wasn't like the most egregious garbage of the movie. Jacob keeps talking about imprinting because they're wolves. So, like, some dude has, like, two lovers because they've imprinted or something. It was totally irrelevant. It really didn't mean anything, honestly. It didn't matter. Why are you Team Jacob then? Like I said, because there has not been a single scene in any of these three movies where Edward does anything other than gaslight or lie to her. I swear to God, half of his lines with Bella are, I promise to do this thing, and then actual minutes later, completely breaks that promise and lies to her. And every time the two of them talk, it seems like they hate each other. So, like, Bella will be like, I can't live without you, Edward. And he'll be like, but I can live without you. And she's like, you're right, I can live without you. And he's like, no, but I really can't live without you, Bella. And then she's like, no, but I really can live without you, Edward. I love you, but this might not be right. Why would you love me? Like, it's just constant hostility. Just actual hostility nonstop. It's not romantic at all. It's the resub Natalie, Ben, and the gift sub Cat. And the resub Valavis. Not the fault of the actors, though. The writing and source material is just trash. Yeah, I mean, obviously. All of these actors have proven that they are good actors. They were dealt a real shitty hand with this. Thanks to the Prime burnt. Hold on, quick text message. Thanks the resub so high. Have you heard the backstory of Twilight? It started out as a My Chemical Romance fanfiction. I believe said fanfiction also caused 50 Shades of Grey to be written. I knew about 50 Shades of Grey spinning off from Twilight. I didn't remember it being a My Chemical Romance fanfic. Thanks for resub Slick and Pizza. And the resub Captain. Never heard that either. Oh, maybe it's not true. That was just one guy. The 50 Shades of Grey thing is real, though. That was sad. Thanks the Prime Calm, Senpai, and Squirt. The Prime Crispy. Oh, I've been loving these movies. They've been super, super fun. Thanks to the resub Sandhill and Goth. The gift sub Brianna. What do you think about the werewolf design? What do you mean it's just a fucking wolf? It's not like there's a unique design there. And also all the werewolves are perpetually shirtless. There's no real reason as to why. It's just they're literally always shirtless. I think it's the resub mall. Werewolves do have unique designs, dummy. They all wear jean shorts. True, I guess that is a pretty unique design. They do all wear some jorts. Good point. Not wrong. Didn't consider that. This is a resub pre-law. What's your favorite out of the three so far? It's got to be Eclipse. They are actually getting better. So Eclipse is the one I'm talking about, where she just point blank cheats on Edward twice, and he's okay with it. Like, this one is just so crazy. And then, like, the big twist that Jasper's actually a Confederate soldier. Like, this is definitely the best one. So far. I mean, hopefully Breaking Dawn's even better. Because we still have two left. This one also has, like, action sequences at the end. It's a full-blown war. So that was kind of cool, and the fighting was really goofy. It's a resub, real music, exclamation point, and Knox. Yeah, Jasper got a southern drawl out of nowhere. He was giving the backstory, and then out of nowhere, at no point so far had he done any southern accent. And then after he tells the story, even like mid-story, he starts speaking in a southern accent. And even at one point where like Alice like gets the better of him during training, he hits her with like a, "Well, howdy there, little missy." Golly, ma'am. For no reason. It was crazy. It was fucking crazy. It's the resub Jar and Yoshi. He remembered his accent. Yeah. Have you seen the one with the epic baseball scene? Yeah, that was the first one. We already talked about the baseball scene. And that shit was epic. I did not know that, Chromium. Wait, that's news to me. That's kind of wild. This is like a teenage girl's power fantasy. Just a bunch of emotionally aggressive guys fighting over her. Yeah. Aggressive is definitely the right word for it. Like, I just don't get where the romance is, though. That's just totally lost in all three of these films. There's no such thing as romance. Except there's some semblance of humanity when Jacob talks to Bella. Like, they actually speak normally. Meanwhile, half of what Edward does is just lie. Or just say, like, really edgy shit, like, about suicide being cool. It's a resub Carla, Meek, Kin, and Vanilla. Oh, that's Rough Girth. There's a Prime Raven in Tier 1 Doo-Wop. Did you know there's a new book from Edward's POV called Midnight Sun? Really? I didn't know that. That's exciting. Hopefully there'll be more Twilight movies because I'm very much into it now. These are so fucking bad. It's unreal. These are resub Psycho. What would you do differently if you were Bella? Get as far away from Edward and Jacob as possible. They're unhinged. Well, another example. In the first movie, one thing Edward makes very clear is that he breaks into Bella's room to watch her sleep. This is before they were even dating or anything. Like, he just said, like, he comes in, like, over the course of months just to watch her sleep. Easy tier 1 ass and the resub Binsol and Edmundo. No, I don't plan on doing that, Camus. Oh, another thing that's super weird in New Moon. So she becomes a recluse for 6 months, going through like very serious depression and like these night terrors she has because Edward left her. And then this fucking goofy guy, I don't even know his name because he's so meaningless in the plot. Oh wait, a movie. Yeah, here. So they go to a movie together. It's this guy. This goofy guy. The second Bella snaps out of her depression, it's been 6 months. She doesn't really go to school. When she does go to school, she isolates herself from her friends, including this guy and the whole group. Oh, his name's Mike? Okay, Mike. Yeah, the second she comes back after this 6 month hiatus of like depression, she sits down at the lunch table. Mike goes, "Is Bella back?" And she's like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Good, do you want to see a movie together?" Immediately asks her out on a date in front of like his girlfriend. Mike, I thought, had a girlfriend, which was the Anna Kendrick character, because they went to prom together. They made it very clear they both like each other a lot. They're still like very close. And then the second Bella comes back, he just in front of her asks Bella to a movie. And Bella's like, "Sure," and then brings Jacob with him or with her. So then they're watching this movie called Face Punch, and I guess it's so heavy on action that it made Mike sick. So he goes to puke, and then Bella and Jacob leave without him. And then they start flirting and sitting down on like a staircase, and then Mike's like, "All right, I think I'm just going to go home." And then Jacob gets really offended for some reason. He's like, "Oh, well, if you're feeling sick, maybe you should go to a hospital. And maybe I should put you in the hospital." Out of nowhere. And then he's like, "Fuck, I got to go home." He's a tier 1 Souch in the resub Draconic, Majestic, and Direct. In the resub Sourdough. Man, that was a good movie. It was a good movie. There's a scene I forgot to even mention in the yesterday. It's at the beginning of this movie. So when she's going through her depression and then slowly snapping out of it, she once again goes to another movie, but this time with Mike's girl, the Anna Kendrick character. They go to a movie together, and while they're leaving the movie, Bella sees like biker dudes in an alleyway, and they're catcalling. They're like, "Hubba hubba, baby. Woohoo! You want to take a ride on my bike?" And we're like revving it up, and Andrew Kendrick character's like, "Let's go, Bella. They're being creepy pigs," and Bella's like, "I'm gonna go over there." So she does, and then takes a ride on some middle-aged dude's motorcycle. And while she's doing that, she's having Force Ghost projections of Edward saying, "No, you're going too fast. Bella, this is dangerous. Bella, stop." And then eventually, like, the Force Ghost is right in front of her, so this total biker stranger that was just being a fucking maniac, she, like, shouts at him and she's, like, screaming, "Stop, stop!" So then he, like, hits the brakes and he's like, "Whoa, what a weirdo, get off my bike." So he takes her back to the movie theater, and then Bella and the other girl walk away. It was such a wild scene. Oh no, the movie's amazing. Like, it's so good. Oh, fuck me, it's good. And Eclipse is better. Thanks to the resub or the tier 1 Ahmed and the bits Quaid and the resub Vinny. Thanks to the resub Duty. Oh yeah, I'm excited for Breaking Dawn. Thanks to the resub Debbie. How would you rank them so far? 3, 1, 2. Eclipse, Twilight, New Moon. Yeah, it's my first time watching these. I've never seen them. Thanks to resub Pancake. Who's your favorite character? It's gotta be Bella. I think Bella's probably my favorite character because she's actually just a lobotomite. She doesn't make any decisions that make any level of sense and can't reciprocate real human emotion. Not that any like positive emotions are ever tossed her way from any of the characters in these movies, but even still, she's just hollow. It's like fascinating. Her dad is the only non-toxic one. Yeah, her dad's like the only character in any of these movies that like makes sense. His daughter just keeps running away, will vanish for days on end. Every time she's home, she's yelling and screaming, having these night terrors about losing Edward. If she's not screaming in the middle of the night, she's pouting around, moping and being sad all the time. And he's just like, what the fuck do I do? So he's literally drowning himself in fucking Pat's Blue Ribbon at all hours of the day. And it's like, yeah, that sounds about par for the course. Thanks to resub Banks. No, I haven't seen Breaking Dawn yet. Those are the next two we gotta watch. Thanks to the resub Jaden. You ever seen Vampire Diaries? Oh, the show? Actually, yeah. Long time ago. What made you want to watch the series in the first place? Chat. They told me to look at like the baseball scene from Twilight, and I was sold. They told me that the series was fun bad. I think we were talking about shitty movies that are fun. And chat mentioned Twilight and then recommended the baseball scene. And they're right. It's very fun bad. Is the resub Brown? Edward got cucked in Eclipse. Well, that's what I was talking about. There's like actual cuckoldry undertones. Well, it's not. It's pretty blatant stuff, really. Another thing that I absolutely could have seen happening during these movies' heyday, so in that scene where Jacob snuggles Bella in front of Edward in order to keep her warm, the line he says right before that where she's like shaking and her teeth are chattering and they're like, she needs my warmth. One thing that he says, and I already know what the reaction to the theater was, is he says, I'm hotter than you, to Edward as he crawls into the bed to warm her up. And I know the second Jacob said that, the theater erupted into applause. I guarantee there was audible gasps and fainting from the women in the audience. Team Jacob and Team Edward would unironically fight during the movie. Shit was hilarious. Yeah, I guarantee there was like actual fist fights over Team Edward or Team Jacob. Thanks for resub, Dante. I deadass went to the movies to learn about the book to impress a girl. That's not like impressive though, right? Like I feel like that's not impressive. You could have just looked up a plot synopsis. But the movies slap, so you probably still had fun. Thanks you tier 1 ASD. And the resub flux. What's like the modern day Twilight now? Is there anything like this? Not like shitty fun bad series, but like what's like the teenage girl phenomenon now? Nothing really. Yeah, I can't really think of anything. Oh, Euphoria maybe, I guess. Euphoria might be the right answer. Thanks to tier 1 Bobby. Riverdale. Riverdale's another good answer. Riverdale was huge. I think it fell off though, right? I don't really hear much about it anymore, but yeah, maybe Riverdale. Thanks the Prime Arcanite and the Resub Skywalker. Fun fact, Taylor Lautner actually mocapped the wolf scenes. No way. Wait, why? Oh no. Oh no. Oh, this channel's just called Twilight Today.
There was personal interaction between our wolf characters and the humans in this case. There's an intimate moment where Jacob joins Bella. So in that particular instance, Taylor was...
Why do I recognize this guy? Sorry. Who did they say who this is? Is this like Rob Reiner? He looks so familiar. No, it's not Rob Reiner. Who the fuck is it? Is this the director? Phil Tippett. Okay. I don't know that name. He looks so familiar.
Action between... There's an intimate moment where Jacob joins Bella. So in that particular instance, Taylor was dressed up in a kind of a non-reflective gray outfit and actually acted the scene with Kristen.
Looking like a pay money wubby
right
stream
eye
here.
lines, motivation, and all of that kind of thing. So that was very carefully laid out.
The way the sequence was originally designed, Jacob just comes up to Bella, and they sort of, you know, just are right next to each other, and they're talking, and it's very cute and beautiful. And David said, in this shot, I want you to sort of put your head down, and Kristen, you just sort of rub his head. That was not exactly what we had expected. How are we going to actually get her hand moving around his fur?
We know that's going to be a technical challenge.
Of course, what we have to do ultimately is cover Taylor up with a wolf, and where you see him, we have to paint him out and restore the background.
So once this gets transposed into a wolf,
This looks great. This looks
basically
amazing,
a
actually.
hairless wolf. Physically, her hand is actually scratching him on the forehead in this shot, and then once we send it through comp, that'll be fully realized.
Cool. Very, very cool. Literally magic. Yeah. Literally magic. Thanks to resub. Clicks, Jordan, Moon, Bear, and Mavra. And the bits Quaid and Teeth. Never heard of that before, Teeth. Thanks to Prime Squid. Phil Tippett working on Twilight is actually crazy. Why? What does he normally work on? Let's see. What's his resume? Looks like his big thing is Mad God. Chat was actually just talking about Mad God. That's stop motion, isn't it? He worked on Spiderwick Chronicles. Holy shit, I haven't seen that in such a long time. I haven't even heard that name in such a long time. Yeah, it looks like it's mainly Mad God. His big thing is effects on Jurassic Park. I don't see that listed here. I'm on his... Oh! Only the first Jurassic Park. And then he also worked on RoboCop 2 and 3. And Star Wars New Hope. He's a practical effects legend. That's cool, yeah, I didn't know his name, but I clearly know his work. Thanks a bit, Shane. No, I don't plan on finishing it. I just didn't really get into it. Yeah, we watched Tadari the other night, Chase. It was fucking awesome. Thanks for reset, Baguette. When are you gonna watch the next two? Probably not till next weekend. So it'll be a little break in between Eclipse and Breaking Dawn 1 and 2 for us. I think it'll be next weekend.